What's up, everybody? Before we get into the video with you guys today, we want you guys to tune in April 19th and 20th as we will be live hanging out with our boys, FAP Reactions, and our honorary use Alec as we watch WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 41 live stream. You got to be tuned in to do so. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Also, follow us on our socials to see clips and videos that we'll post leading up to the big show. But now, let's get into the video.
What is going on, everybody? C2 Wrestling back again. Friday Night SmackDown. We got one more and Monday Night Raw right before WrestleMania. Usually it's that go home show, next week's show that is, jam packed because it's the night before WrestleMania. But I usually find out the week prior is a bit of just like slower build. And that's what I feel like we got tonight. Nothing too crazy, nothing underwhelming. But the biggest thing out of tonight is really Randy Orton. So I want to get right into that. I imagine you're on the same page. Randy Orton has a couple of opponents he might face at WrestleMania. It seems like they're heading the route of Solo Sikoa. I'm sure that's going to come to a lot of discourse online. We're big Solo supporters here. I think he's fantastic. I do not hate it by any means. I understand wanting some other options. I even want some other options, but I want to hear from you. What are you thinking? Where do you think they're going?
Yeah, I mean, we broke down a few of the options on our podcast yesterday, and Solo was one of the names that felt pretty, I don't want to say pretty likely, but like
I was up there.
it was more likely than others because it kind of fits the bill for it could make sense. You could throw it together quickly. They have history, and you can have Randy win, and all's well and ends well. And you can move Randy on to the next thing that he has going. Maybe it's the WWE Championship. Backlash is in St. Louis, so I would imagine he's main eventing that show. So
Yeah.
you're not going to have him lose at Mania. Cool. We love Solo. I
Mm-hmm.
was, we mentioned a few times like we actually kind of felt bad that Solo wouldn't be on Mania. We are strong believers in not every person should be on Mania and the card should be the most important stuff. They got a little crazy with a lot of multi-person matches, but I am cool with Solo versus Randy. Is it the most exciting thing? No. Do I think it's going to be match of the night? No. But it checks enough boxes where it's like, all right, Solo definitely deserves it. You got to have fucking Randy Orton on the card. I get it. But man, they were leaning into the teases for Orton Aldis. They really were.
Yeah, they really were leaning in, leaning a little too in, maybe, or leaning in just enough. I'm really not ruling out the swerve that we still get Aldis versus Orton. Solo versus Orton is easy. It does make sense as much as people are going to want to say it doesn't. It's not as random as people might think. I had seen that there was odds of who's going to face Randy Orton, and Solo's name was not even in there. It was like Ludwig Kaiser was one of the names, like total different brand. Like, not that it couldn't happen, but just not in the same realm as say Solo Sikoa is. But man, if you want to create the moment, I'm going to compare what would be Orton Solo to some other match where, again, by no means do I hate Orton Solo. I think it is fine. If they book it, I'm fine with it. I'm happy. I would like it to be Orton Aldis. Orton Solo a little bit reminds me of Angle Corbin. I don't know why, but I kind of feel that way where you have the opportunity to give Orton like some crazy matchup, whether it be Aldis or Aleister Black, another newcomer. Well, not newcomer, he's been around, but another returnee. Solo seems a little bit lackluster in that comparison, but it's a logical answer. So I can't say I hate it, but God, I just fucking want to see Magnus again so bad.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about it though, where you're in the spot where it's, you find out 2 weeks before Mania and you should have a bit of a pass. I know there's some exciting names that people would like to see get a match, like a Ray Phoenix or a Carmelo Hayes, but you don't want to just throw something together to throw something together and completely derail something else that you're doing. I think you want to have him have a match, obviously, but you still want it to make sense, and you don't want to take someone away from something else and divert it, even if it's not a Mania match, like Carmelo Hayes if he faced Orton. Like they're clearly doing something with him and the Miz. You just have him quickly do this Orton thing. It just kind of messes up with what they're trying to do there. I kind of relate it to, we make a lot of sports analogies on here. I kind of relate it to when you're in baseball, you don't want to play two guys out of position. You keep one guy in his proper position, and you'd rather have one person out of position. You don't want to move too many pieces and have too many pieces where it's all right, now this could get messed up because you're messing up the flow. I'd rather have one thing be incorrect than two to three things incorrect just because you're trying to log jam things into, square pegs into round holes. So look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm going to be locked in on that match and I'm going to think it's going to fucking blow the roof off the place. I'm not going to lie to you, but you kind of have to cut him a little bit of slack.
Yeah, you got to come in a little bit of slack. I do agree it in a way. I'm not going to be maybe peeled on this match like I'm going to be, say, either main event. But again, it's logical. Speaking of matches, though, not only were the match cards announced for Saturday and Sunday, so we know maybe not the order of the matches, but we know what night they're happening on. To me, it looks like they were announced in order as well, but things are always subject to change. So who knows? On top of the match cards, we also got a stipulation added to what we said would be Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Sin City street fight. Would it be wrestling if there wasn't a street fight named after whatever city they're in? I mean, come on, you got to do it, right? It's Las Vegas. We said it would happen. It didn't fit the bill for it to be any other type of match, really, but a street fight, and it makes perfect sense. It's a little bit of a blood feud, It's there's a year build to it. Yeah, they haven't really been building it a year though. Like I understand they're referencing that, but it has been built up that long. I'm not going to put it on the level of blood feuds like we've seen in the past, but I think putting a stipulation on this match makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think they revealed it in order of the match card because night one they started with the main event.
That's
Night
fair.
two, yeah,
I
night
should
two might be
specify. Yeah,
closer to
I
it.
seen a tweet of it that I was from a legitimate account, but whatever, they could have put it in who knows what order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I love this. I mean, we said if any match was going to get a stipulation, this would be the match, and
Mm-hmm.
it is the most fitting of a stipulation. It also, I don't want to say it needs it, but it needs it. Like
Yeah.
to me, you can't have one guy get choke slammed onto a fucking car windshield
Mm-hmm.
and then you just have, you're just fucking locking up and doing chain wrestling. Like you gotta kind of, you set yourself up for it, which granted, I'm sure they did that knowing that they were going to do a street fight, of course.
Yeah.
But as a viewer, I wouldn't want to see that. And then it's like, all right, let's get some rest holds.
Yeah.
Let's get a little crazy. Uh, I love it. It sets it aside from the rest of the card too. And you and I have been not only long believers of this match and this story,
Mm-hmm.
but we know it's going to be good. And
It's gonna be a fucking banger.
People are going to be like, oh my God, that match was so good. Yeah, no fucking shit. Both these guys
Yeah.
rock. And now it's a street fight. Yeah, they're going to do fucking great.
Yeah, when people start coming out and saying how great that match was, and we're just sitting here saying, "Yeah, we know," it's because we fucking told you so. It's going to be a great match. Again, the build has been fine. Sin City street fight between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. The more I think about the match, especially with the stipulation, it is one of the matches with the most potential to really steal the show of either night of the whole weekend. You give these guys 15, 20 minutes in a street fight. I also think Drew McIntyre, who is maybe deserving of more. Yes, don't get me wrong. I keep seeing people saying he should have been against Roman this year, this, that, whatever, in a title match. I agree. Drew, I've said, should be one of the next champions in WWE. Damian Priest has something to prove here. I feel like he's getting a lot of maybe slack for this match. I just have a feeling that these two guys are going to go all out. They're going to beat the shit out of each other, and it's going to be a hell of a match.
I got a question for you, a random one.
Okay.
All right. Hypothetical.
All right, let's hear it.
You get free front row tickets to WrestleMania 41.
Okay.
But that entire weekend, you have to wear Damian Priest's pants.
Oh, man, those jeans. Oh, man. Listen, Nosebleeds ain't ever looked so good, you know? Yeah.
Look, it fits him, but you couldn't pay me to wear those fucking
Uh,
things.
listen, I'm sorry, Damien. I love you, but God, you need to see a priest after wearing those fucking pants. Yeah, yeah,
I couldn't even imagine one of us wearing those.
yeah.
Like it fits him. It makes
No,
makes perfect
it
sense
does.
for
It
him.
does fit him. It's his style. But like our WrestleMania weekend coming up, if we were all in the room and any one of us five collectively walked in wearing those pants, it would be an immediate bust out of laughter from everyone else in the room. Like that is just what a wardrobe choice by Damian Priest. Honestly, fuck it. Wear them in the Sin City Street Fight for all I care. They're already
Yeah,
ripped up. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. How much worse could it get? They confirmed a few other matches. We had
Mhm.
the women's tag team gauntlet, which Triple H was watching C2 wrestling, and
Yeah.
don't want to say, we said this a month ago, but we said this a month ago. And
Yeah.
Bailey versus Lyra, and you probably get Bailey turning on Lyra and sets up them facing again for the Intercontinental Championship because it's 1-1.
Yeah, it is that simple. I don't have much to say on it, other than I don't think the gauntlet match is even over yet. That one went on for a while. Lyra's been showcased pretty well over these last couple of weeks. A few weeks prior to that, she was not being showcased well. So good for Lyra. She's getting a little bit more of a spotlight, especially with the IC title. The women's mid card titles, Chelsea's been great. Lyra's finally getting spotlight. Again, I think they were kind of pushed into debuting some mid card titles, maybe a little bit sooner than they should have. I don't know if they established enough of a mid card women's level yet, despite the roster being better than it's ever been. Again, they just kind of got lost in the shuffle for a while there. So it's good to see Lyra at least getting some involvement, despite all the fucking hate it's going to get because it's not for the IC title at WrestleMania. What do you guys want? What do you want? It's a fine matchup. Do it.
Yeah, so I'll play kind of both sides here with I understand you want Liv to get a win on Mania, most likely, give her the moment she deserves for the great year that she's had. It does really feel like, man, you debuted these two mid card titles and neither of them are on the Mania card. And like we have said it, the women's tag titles, you could just scrap them. Like I
Yes.
mean, to me, I understand you want to do the Bailey Lyra feud. To
Mm-hmm.
me, I would have been much more accepted if they did hell, even a four-way Bailey, Lyra, um, Liv, and Raquel, or someone
Mm-hmm.
else in for Raquel for the Intercontinental Championship. You get them all on the card. You can still kind of do your stories, whatever. It feels like a big miss. Like you forced the women's tag titles on. You should have been forcing one of the mid card titles on. You just debuted these things. Like you should have given the shine to one of them. And then Chelsea, on the other hand, like Chelsea very well could have had a Mania match, and it doesn't seem
Mm-hmm.
like she does. So I think you could still use the same names, but I would have switched up the title involved just to make a little bit more sense of it all.
Yeah, I'm still on the wave of just get rid of the women's tag titles, to be honest. And I know we're maybe the minority in that, fine, but like it's just been messy ever since they've been debuted. There's never really been a stellar run. Liv and Raquel win them back, and I'm hearing over the thing they're three times champ. I gotta look it up. Like, it shouldn't be to that level. And the roster has changed. It's better than ever. We're under this Triple H regime now, but still, look at the women's tag titles. Yes, they may be on Liv and Raquel, an established tag team, but they're defending them at WrestleMania in a match that was made 2 weeks in advance through a gauntlet against a random universe mode tag team, if you want to get technical. Lyra and Bailey are not really a tag team. That's what the women's tag titles have been all about over these last few years. They don't have any establishment in that division. I think it would have been better to be mid card titles as well.
Yeah, so you could have got the same names on and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, still checked the right boxes, but whatever. I mean, the match is going to be solid. It'll be a decent match. I don't think it's going to go 30 minutes, but it'll be what it is. And I think we'll get Bailey, Lyra in the final of the trilogy. And who knows, maybe Lyra gets the big win or Bailey's heel turn leads to her winning the mid card title. And, they have it on a little bit more consistently. That's also one thing I wanted to touch on tonight. I was texting you. Ray Phoenix tears the house down.
Tears it down.
Berto, awesome. Respect to
Incredible.
Berto because he's always been great. And, it's just Legato as a team, we're finally getting some matches. So I'm glad that they're getting some TV time as well. As much as SmackDown needs to go back to 2 hours, they're the type of tag team slash trio that have benefited from it being 3 hours. I say all of that to mention post WrestleMania, I need still quality stories and emphasis on both mid card titles or all four mid card titles essentially, and the men's tag titles for these stories because it is kind of a shame that the best story told amongst the men's Raw tag titles, the Intercontinental title, the US title, and the SmackDown tag titles, of those four, three of them are on the Mania card, and the one that isn't probably has the longest running story for the title and the best
Mhm.
story for the titles, and that's the SmackDown tag title. So it seems they're going to be left off. They announced next week it'll be the Profits versus the Machine Guns. There's already 7 matches on Saturday, 6 on Sunday. You assume Orton's match, if it's against Solo, will go on Sunday, and it'll be 7 and 7. Post Mania, I need emphasis. There's plenty of guys in that mid card division on SmackDown. There's plenty of tag teams. You kick it over to Raw. There's plenty of guys for the Intercontinental Championship. There's plenty of tag teams. I don't want the little hot moment of WrestleMania and then they fizzle out and we go back to what we just had around a month ago where Braun Breaker wasn't on TV for 3 weeks and Nakamura was the US champion and never on. Like there is no reason we should get back to that. We have the talent. There's plenty of stories to tell. Please, let's keep the ball rolling. Things are in motion. Keep it in motion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm not too worried about it though. I do think post Mania we're due for some fresh stories, things like that. A lot of these people are still being showcased. They might not be in the most prominent thing right now. Carmelo Hayes is teaming with the Miz a little bit, but there's a tag team for the tag division. Carmelo and Miz. I'm looking forward to what's to come post Mania. I'm not too worried, but I do want that establishment with all the championships to stay. It's inevitable every PLE, even 2 nights, there's going to be something kept off the card. Not everything is always going to make the card. So I think the builds can be strong despite maybe title matches being left off the cards. But there is a couple that, again, the women's mid card titles, we haven't really even had stories leading into Mania. So it makes sense for them to be kept off. SmackDown men's tag titles, one of the more prominent stories leading into Mania, and they're kept off. They'll be on next week on SmackDown with the Andre Battle Royal. A little disappointed by that. I was a little hopeful they would still be on WrestleMania, but with the match card being 7 matches and then 6 with Orton's to come, I doubt they put an 8th match on. I guess you can't say no to it yet, but it seemed inevitable a couple weeks ago that we were going to get multi-man SmackDown tag title match.
And I will continue to say we like not every match being on the pay-per-view PLE because we like the shows being must-watch weekly where you're having title matches in the main event. I love it. They've Raw multiple times has had the Intercontinental Championship main event, and that's the final match of the
Mm-hmm.
night. SmackDown just recently, LA Knight winning the United States Championship closes the show.
I
They've
mean, even
had,
tonight.
yeah, the LA Knight, yeah, closes tonight. The SmackDown tag titles have closed the show plenty of times, even with the Machine Guns winning the titles. Like, I know we're dating ourselves a little bit, but that is the beauty of not having everything on the PLEs. So I do understand that. I'm just saying it does kind of suck that the one story that seemed to be the most obvious to go on to Mania doesn't. But hey, we're still gonna watch SmackDown. We're still gonna watch weekly shows, and this is why I'm saying the emphasis on. I hope they keep things going because the SmackDown Tag Division is so deep right now. They have all of these teams. They're all intertwined, and yes, it's cooling a little bit, but you're starting to get new, fresh stories with Mello and Miz getting into the mix now. Clearly, the DIY Machine Guns Pretty Deadly story is still a thing with the Street Profits. And now you have Legato kind of seeming like they may split. Maybe they go with Andrade. That's going to get mixed into the tag team division as well. So a lot of promise post Mania. But Snowden, I'm just ready for Mania, man.
I am ready for Mania. I hope that I close my eyes tonight to go to sleep and I wake up and it's April 19th. Just like that. I'm going to sleep like a vampire in a coffin. That's how I sleep, for those of you that don't understand the reference, because the only people that do are the two people on this call right now. But looking forward to it. WrestleMania, again, 19th and 20th. I almost said 18th, but we're going to be live, us, C2 Wrestling, FAP Reactions Reunion, the honorary Us Alec. It's going to be a hell of a blast. Do not
Make sure I
forget,
get the
though.
one in there, because that
Gotta
did
get
not
the
look,
one.
that did not look good. That did not look good. That did not look good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. You back up for putting up the one. Yeah. If you're going to tune in for WrestleMania, the live stream, you got to tune in Thursday, where we drop the predictions podcast, talk all predictions going into WrestleMania, recorded prior to some matches announced. So there's still some stuff to stay tuned for, but I think that's all we got for you for now. I don't know. Subscribe to the channel. Maybe that would be cool too.
Notifications on.
Oh, yeah, that too. That's a good one. Yeah, please. I love you, Solo.